Okay, so the 1970s. Okay, I was born in 1990, but I know as I've done a lot of research about the past, and the 1970s was one of the most creative, entertaining, very controversy decade of any generation of any decade. 70s, a lot of black men had afros, a lot of black men had sideburns, a lot of black men would grow a lot of facial hair, a lot of black men had mustaches, a lot of black women had afros, a lot of black, even light skinned women, a lot of mixed and light skinned women would wear afros. And, there was a lot of protesting. You had the Black Panther. You had a lot of violence was becoming very, 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 very. And this started after Martin Luther King was killed. About 2 or 3 years after he was killed, going into the 1970s, a lot of people were doing a lot of weird stuff. The black people was becoming criminals. There was more riots. There was a lot of breaking and entering. There was a lot of murders. There was a lot of jail. Just like now, but it was worse in the 70s. 70s, the crime rate was high. Black people was getting robbed by other black people. There was a lot of crazy stuff going on. Even though, and also besides that, there was a lot of what I say, music, like jazz. Jazz was becoming more popular in the 1970s. There was, jazz music was very popular in the 70s. We had B.B. King before he died. B.B. King was very well known in the 1970s. His music was, he was one of the most best musicians of the 1970s. B.B. King, then you had disco music, and you had wow, Soul Train, which came out in the 1970s, all that. That was where you see a whole bunch of people, black folks dancing and boogieing. All the clothes in the 1970s. You had the high go-go boots. Black women wear the go-go boots. You had the steel. Black men would wear the steel toe boots that would make them 5 or 6 inches taller. You think the a lot of black men had the comb in their hair. Nowadays, see, my hair is cut low. If this is back in the 70s, I'll probably have a huge old afro. I'll have a huge afro. Black men, most people didn't know this. That black guys can grow really long afros if they don't cut their hair. A lot of black guys cut their hair to keep it short nowadays. Back in the 70s, black men would have very huge, huge, huge afros. I can't grow afro. I never could grow afro. I tried growing an afro back in 2005, 2006, and it only got like this. I could never get I can't grow like really long afros. Maybe it's in my DNA. But a lot of black men can grow like huge afros if they don't get it cut. If they don't cut off. You go to Africa, you'll see black guys with big old afros, and and even women. There are a lot of African women too who grew afro. But back in the 70s, it was all about the afro. It was about the clothes. The clothes was weird. There was a lot of eccentric clothing, shades, the way people pimping. All that stuff was out there. The way people dressed, the way people talked. There was a lot of slang going on. What's up, brother? You know, jive turkey and all that. There's a lot of slang going on. You even see it in some of the TV shows like Good Times, Sanford and Son. Those shows came in the 1970s, right? So the Jeffersons. You see a lot of slang going on in the 70s. It was very diverse. The music was very different. It was there was no rap music. There's no you had people like the Temptations, 1970s. You had people like B.B. King. You had people like Michael Jackson was very famous among the 1970s. The Jackson Five. They were teenage boys. They were very popular among the 1970s. And you have other people too. Lena Horne was popular in the 1970s with her music. Then you had a lot of other people too. So before the 80s, before it became the rap music and all that stuff. 1970s was very creative. They had a little disco ball with the lights coming out of it when people used to dance to it. I heard in the 1970s, nightclubs was more exciting in the 1970s. There was a lot of fights going on. There was no fights. There were rarely any violence in nightclubs. People just go have fun and go home. You know. But yeah, Mr. J here, peace.